Welcome back into another episode of the Huskers Radio Network podcast. I'm Jessica Coody. We are now under 70 days away from kickoff and summer workouts in full swing. This football team hard at it here throughout the summer months. And to catch us up on all the things going on with the Husker football team, the head football strength and conditioning coach, Coody Campbell, back in the hot seat. Well, how is the summer going?
Summer's going well. Just finished up week 4, today, this morning. Guys they're working their behinds off. It's good to get out in the heat, and get running, good to get the guys back into the weight room. This summer is very important. We had a really good winter, really good, spring ball. They went home for May during that May term, and then now we're back rolling. And, I can't ask for, a better group of guys. They come in and they attack every day because they continue to have the mindset of, hey, be intentional behind what we do to get 1% better. What
are the goals for a football team and for you in particular that you hope this team achieves here in this summer?
Right. So, I may have mentioned last time, like CoachLed and I, we get together and we do talk about goals, spring goals, summer goals, things of that nature. And our goals for this summer, number one, was elite conditioning and movement, right? And that's a huge priority, right? We want to be, the most conditioned team, whether we take it 4 quarters, overtime, second overtime, whatever, we want to be able to thrive under those conditions. Number 2 was assignment and technique mastery, right? It is, attributing what we do in the weight room and how that correlates to their on-field play. During the summer, we have OTAs right now every Tuesday and Thursday, so they get out and they're actually doing indie. They're practicing football skills. They have 7-on-7, so things that we incorporate into our training. We want to see that translate to the field of play. And then lastly, brotherhood. It's continuing to build that bond, continuing to build those relationships. Those are the best teams when you have a purpose outside of yourself for why you push through, the difficult tasks. So for the summer, those are our 3 goals.
With what you kind of implement in the winter and you were new and kind of getting to know the guys, how much is it easier, I guess, is it transitioning into what you're doing now, being that you've had that time in the winter, I guess, are guys kind of settling into the expectations that you and your staff have for them?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's easier from a work standpoint. Mm-hmm. You have the ability to push them harder, right? Coming in the winter, it was figuring out what you had, and we did push them hard. But, I think they understand how we do things, so the learning curve wasn't as vast as it was coming in the winter. So I do think from that standpoint, it was, more efficient with our time. Hey, get in, knock the dust off, and then we're rolling. But you got the new guys coming in, right? You got the young pups coming in. So, they're going through right now what the rest of the guys went through in the winter. So, it's teaching them, bringing them along, and kind of training them up in the way that we do things here at Nebraska.
I did a bunch of interviews with the guys last week, and it was all interesting, kind of what their goals were as far as weight, putting on weight, losing weight, whatever that might be. How do you guys, you and your staff, go about individualizing what each player needs to gain and take care of personally here and during this time?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's a collaborative effort, right? Our dietitian, Kristen Coggins, she leads the way, on that. She, reviews their DEXA scans, see where their body composition is. We know what norms look like from a positional standpoint, not only in the NCAA, but in the NFL as well. So, that effort between myself and my staff, her and her staff, and then the coaching staff, on, hey, these are the weights that we want these guys to play at. We take those into account, and then we come up with a plan to achieve those goal weights in a healthy manner. Because you can put on weight, and not all weight is good weight, but we want to be systematic in how we do things, so that the weight that they do put on is good weight. So they can go and out there on that field and accomplish the goals that they set for themselves.
After the spring game, Coach Roll said that one of the biggest goals now for this football team is this team moving from a coach-led team to a player-led team. How and why does that happen so often during this time of the year?
Because I think, the coaches get away. They get out of town. They have, well-deserved vacation in July. And at that point, it's the players and myself and my staff and the support staff, right? And, it's up to those leaders in that locker room to be the ones to hold not only themselves accountable, but each other accountable, because, they spend 8 hours a week with me, and the rest of that time it's, hey, what are we doing on our own? Because everybody in the country has that same 8 hours, right? We aim to be intentional in what we do within that time frame, but it's the work you do outside of that that's going to allow you to be the team that you want to be. So it is up to them, and they understand that. They're welcoming, the challenge of stepping up and leading and holding each other accountable and continuing to push the standard. Because if we're a team that, continues to raise the bar, like, the day before, that price isn't today's price. We got to continue to up that, and with that mindset, again, we'll really be the team that we want to be, or position ourselves to be the team that we want to be come August.
Why is it so important for a team to be player-led?
Because they're out there playing with each other, right? As coaches, we aim to create the best plan, but we're not the ones out there executing it. They are, and it's something to understand that the guy to the left and to the right of me, in front or behind me, he's pulling his 1/11th, and with that mindset, right, like, you have a group of guys who are passionate about the game, but also, have a certain love for each other, right? And when you understand that you're on that field of play, out there battling, going to war with your brothers, you don't want to let them down. And they feel the same way about you. So that's why it's important, because you'll give so much more of yourself when it matters not only to you, but to those around you.
So a few weeks ago, there was a graphic with a picture of 10 guys on it, and it was called the 10, and there was the definition of compelled on there, and I think a lot of people assume that was the single digits. That's not the case. Tell us about the 10 and the concept behind the 10.
Okay, so that was a huge topic. Coach Rue actually hit me up on that. He's like, Coach, like, these guys aren't really understanding. So with the 10, right, we talk about the 10-80-10 rule. Right, and that top 10% being, your elite guys, they do everything the right way. They hold themselves to a high standard. They hold their teammates to a high standard. They do whatever it takes, to be successful, and they bring guys along with them. And that's where we aim for everybody on this team to be, and that's that top 10%, right? And in that 10-80-10 rule, right, you have the middle 80% that essentially could be swayed either way, And then, you have that tail end, that bottom 10%. And, those are guys that really don't understand or buy into the way in which we want to do things. So we want to be a team of individuals who strive to be in that 10%, but also bring others along with them. So when you see that number raised above 10, that's why we want a culture of, as guys climb, they lift others up and pull them into that 10%. Because if you have a team full of guys who have that 10% mindset, that elite work ethic, again, you position yourself to be a really good team come August.
Makes sense. So that's why the number of guys have gotten bigger and bigger each week.
Yes, and that's the hope, right? And again, kind of talking about how the standard continues to raise every week, right? Like, what was good enough the week before, that's the bar now. That's the standard. It won't be good enough, that next week. And we go into evaluation of that, myself, my staff, and we take a lot of factors into account. It's as much the weight room and conditioning as it is being on time to study hall, as it is showing up to your meals on time. So that criteria, is hard. And those guys, they want to be a part of it. When they're not, they're questioning, like, hey, Coach, what can I do, right? What more do you need to see out of me in order for me to be a part of that list? So I love the way the guys are buying into it. And, my hope is that list continues to grow, because if we have a team full of 10%ers, we're going to be a tough team to deal with come the fall.
That's awesome. So when you first laid it out, and then people just continue to buy into it and buy into it? Is that kind of how it goes?
Yeah. It's like they see the example that their teammates are setting, like those guys that do make the 10, their teammates are looking at them, and it's like, hey, what is he doing that I'm not doing, right? How is he impacting others? How is he influencing others, to work a little bit harder, to push themselves a little bit more? And then they go out there and they do that, and then when we talk about it all the time, when you as an individual set that precedence, and then you hold your room accountable to it, and then your side of the ball accountable to it, and then your entire team accountable to it, then you will have a team full of 10%ers.
Oh, that's awesome. Seems like just overall, the way that you guys attack the summer, it's very strategic. I mean, you guys are in the weight room, but then there's also, you're seeing the volunteer part of it, just the activities, the paintball, hanging out in that regard too. And we're going to talk to Gus Felder coming up, but I mean, how important is all of that to this time for this team?
It's super important, and I think that goes back to our goals, right? One of them being brotherhood. And, when we talk to our team, like, the guys talk a lot about unity, about togetherness, and we're going to work hard, right? Like, that's the price of it. But we also want the guys to understand that you build the best teams outside of this building, when you hang out with each other, when you go do things with each other, when you learn things about teammates and hang out with teammates that you normally wouldn't hang out with. And so the more that we can put things in place to foster, that brotherhood and that unity, the better. And the summer there's no more perfect time to do it, because, the class load isn't as much as it is in the fall and in the spring, right? They're here working out, and, they got a lot of downtime. So it's filling that downtime with team activities, right, that they find fun. We get a lot of their input. Gus gets a lot of their input on what they'd be interested in doing. So now they have a little bit of ownership in it, so they want to show up and they want to do it. And then they expose, some teammates to different things that they may have never done. So it's a huge part of what we do during the summer months. And, again, it's fostering the brotherhood and the unity that we're looking to foster.
One of the other big parts of the summer for this staff, and Coach Roll said that on his introductory press conference, that camps are going to be a very big part of what you guys do here. And it has been crazy. I've seen kids running around, all ages, all throughout the month of June. How has the first camp season gone for you guys?
Ooh, camp was good. It was good to see a lot of the young athletes, high school athletes, but all the way down to, the elementary school kids come in here, because not a lot of times will they be able to experience what they experience, going in and practicing and doing drills in Memorial Stadium or, in the Hawks, right? Like, the community support of this institution, and our program is huge. So it was cool to be able to let them experience some things that, the people that they watch on TV get to experience.
And you guys even found some potential Huskers, future Huskers.
Yep, we did, and that's another part of it too. It's as much, evaluation on our standpoint, as it is, wanting to be a presence in the community. Like, kids come out and they put their best foot forward, in hopes to get noticed. And, we did, so we had some really good athletes come out, put up some good numbers, put some good things on tape, and, coaches took notice. So, camp season was good, and it's our first one, right? So, I'm only expecting them to improve from here.
Well, I can't let you get out of here without asking you, again, of course, about the new weight room. It's coming along, and you guys are still hoping to be in there by the fall, right? You know what?
I'm hoping we're in there. If we're not, hey, we have a really good weight room to train in now. My hope is, that we're in there as soon as we can be, but, not a minute before it's, built and done in proper fashion. So I'm excited about it. I can't wait to get in there, but at the end of the day, we still have a really good weight room where we can get some really good work in. And, like I said, a 45-pound plate is going to weigh 45 pounds, whether you're in a new facility or you're in the one that we got now. So
I love that. I went in there the other day. It is huge.
It's massive.
It's unbelievable how much space you're going to have to work with.
It's massive. And I think that's the one thing I'm looking forward to, is the amount of space, that we have. And it's like, if we ever needed to get the full team in there, we have the ability to do that, have the ability to not, be congested, So I'm looking forward to having a lot of space to work around in.
Well, you heard me say we're under 70 days from kickoff. How does that sound?
Amazing. You know, the spring game gave me a little bit of a taste about what it'll be like to play in Memorial Stadium, but you know, I have goosebumps thinking about going out there when we kick off in the fall. So I'm super excited about it. Can't wait to get there, but really focused on today, you know, and just that's the same message we tell our guys, like, handle today, you know, go 1-0 today. And our mindset is every day that we have training, you know, it's 70 days away. Well, for 70 days, we got to go 1-0 so that when it does kick off, we can go 1-0 that day too.
Corey Campbell, I know it's a busy time, so appreciate you chatting with us and giving your perspective on how things are going this summer.
Of course, I appreciate you having me.